All right, well, welcome everybody to a very historic event, I'm told, to Mike Marshall's Mandolin Mashup, brought to you by Artist Works, Academy of Bluegrass, and by the Mandolin Cafe. My name is Ian Alexander. I'm with Artist Works, and I'm really excited to have everybody here. I just want to say a couple of things at the beginning here before I hand it off to Scott Tishner from Mandolin Cafe. First thing is we want you guys to participate. So if you'd like to ask questions, go ahead and tweet those questions to us. And the way you do that is just put the @ Artist Works and then ask your question. So @ Artist Works and your question, and we'll monitor that, and we'll try and inject those into the evening here tonight. The other way you can do it is I believe you can do it through Google+. So if you're watching us on our Google+ page, you can type in comments there, and we'll be able to see them, and we'll do the same. We'll inject them into the festivities. So with that, I would like to turn it over to our moderator here, the head of Mandolin Cafe. Mandolin Cafe, I guess you could say it's the Bible for mandolin players on the web. It's been around since 1995, almost pre-internet, or probably pre-internet. But here to take over is Scott Tishner, head of Mandolin Cafe. Scott, why don't you get us going?
Thank you, Ian, for making this event possible, and welcome to everyone. We're here tonight to celebrate Mike's Artist Works School of Mandolin by allowing him to lead us in a live hour of pure mandolin fun and instruction. And we're joined by some of Mike's students. And why don't you wave your hand when I read your name out loud. Amy Burcham, she's coming to us from near Memphis. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Scott and everybody.
And that's Annette Siegel from Southern California somewhere.
Hi, Annette.
And her husband, who is irritating her. John Richart from North Carolina. I believe it's Marcel.
Hi. Hi, it's Mars Hill. That's good.
Okay. John Feskins near Johnson City, Tennessee, the other end of the state.
Howdy, everybody.
And we have a very special guest. He is the Professor Emeritus of the mandolin world, and his acoustic disc recording artist, the legendary David Grissman.
Hi, David. How you doing, man?
Howdy, howdy.
The Mandolin Cafe is all your fault.
Not anymore.
Oh, yeah. Our host is the leader of the Artist Works School of Mandolin, one of the main driving forces behind modern acoustic music. He's a world-class teacher, performer, a mentor, one of the most versatile string musicians of all time. And with David Grissman, he's the co-founder of the Mandolin Symposium. And it's my pleasure to welcome my good friend, Mike Marshall. Mike, I'll do a little bit of coordinating, but prefer to stay out of the way because it's your show, and I'm really looking forward to spending our time together. It's all yours.
Well, thank you, Scott. It's a pleasure to see everybody. Thank you all for coming, and hello to all those of you out there on the internet who are watching. This is modern, beyond modern here, new for all of us. So we'll just see how it goes. I mean, we'll have got a few ideas of things we want to do, but mostly opening it up to you guys to ask whatever questions you want. But good to see everybody, and thank you, Ian, for putting this together through Artist Works. It's been a great year and a half of teaching online this way. It's been a lot of fun to meet the students and share this new way of teaching. So it's been great for me to see all those people out there who are into the mandolin. It seems like the mandolin is the hippest instrument on the planet today, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a drag. You play a little tune, you don't hear the audience clapping out there. This is weird. But yeah, we're going to break it up with some playing. David, good to see you, man. Where are you at? What town are you in right now?
I'm in Puget Sound in Washington. Yeah, Port Townsend, Washington.
You just got done playing Wintergrass, didn't you?
Yeah, a few days ago we had a big time out there in Wintergrass. And,
Great.
it's always fun to see a lot of old friends.
Well, you, as Scott said, what does he call you, the professor emeritus of the mandolin? Certainly did as much for this instrument as anybody I know.
Well, it's done a lot for me.
Recent or distant history. So thank you very much. Thank you for giving me a job in 1970.
Well, hey, you know, I'm one of your students too.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear the true story about all this. Did Mike actually just show up at your door?
At some point he did, but you know, it wasn't totally random. He actually he had a little music store down in Lakeland, Florida called, I believe it's called Mike Marshall's Pickin' Parlor.
That's right. I was always into teaching. Even as a high school student, I was teaching in the local music store.
And he called me up one day and he wanted to order some of the Kaleidoscope LPs, you know, the F5. The first
actually, it was the
record.
Mandolin World News that you were publishing.
Right, he was a customer.
I said, send me a box of those. I'm going to make all my students buy them.
Yeah, and I don't know. We got to talking on the phone, and I said, "Hey, if you're ever out here, come by." And he did.
Well, I'd learned a bunch of the music off the LP. I was playing guitar and fiddle and mandolin, and showed up and already knew his tunes, and that seemed perfectly normal to me.
Well, I was in the middle of making Hot Dog, and I just come down with a bad case of tendinitis, and you know, I immediately hired Mike to play some rhythm parts. I wouldn't let him solo back then because he was mighty powerful.
Within a week of getting there, we were in the studio recording with a full orchestra with Stefan Grappelli soloing, and
yeah,
it was a pretty amazing experience for a little 19-year-old boy. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for, you know, evolving the way you did, and you know, I always knew he was a great picker, but you know, he's gotten into so many of these areas of music that I was aware of and listened to, but he actually, you know, started gobbling them up, you know, Sharo music and classical music. He's
you turned me on to a lot of it. I'm sure I heard Jacob de Bandolim, the great Brazilian mandolinist, at your house the first time, a cassette or something that you had floating around of this wild Brazilian-style mandolin. Well, David's one of the great collectors of musical instruments, and so your house was full of music from all over the world and great jazz stuff, and so that was a real education to just hang around that house for sure. So, well, the education continues. We have some students here from the School of Mandolin. Hello, Amy.
Hey.
So, why don't we start with you? I mean, if you have, you know, you're here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just my first question just popped up in my head listening to you guys talk about this. You were in the Grisman Quartet, and somehow you got from there to founding the Modern Mandolin Quartet. How did that happen?
Well, you know, again, showing up at David's house, it might have been the first time that I saw the whole mandolin family of instruments he had a collection with mandolin, of course, is tuned just like a violin, but he had a mandola there and a mandocello. I was seeing these instruments for the first time, and I thought, wow, this there should be a mandolin quartet. I mean, they're tuned just.
Plus,
like
I wasn't paying him enough.
I'm sure I got the impetus for the idea there, but then it would be maybe 8 or so years later that I would really begin to explore it and look for people who could play those instruments. And when I found Dana Rath, great mandolinist, and Paul Binkley and John Imholtz, they could read the clefs, the bass clef for the mandocello. I happen to have a mandocello right here, the big boy. And it's tuned just like a cello, and so you read the bass clef for that instrument. And the mandola is tuned like a viola, so you need to read alto clef. So it was really finding cats who could read those clefs and were interested in classical music that gave birth to that group. And we just started devouring whatever music we could, reading string quartet music. They were also great arrangers, Paul and John, and they arranged orchestral things pared down to that family of instruments. So it was just a big passion, to explore the American style, F-style instruments, but in the context of classical music. Because, as you know, there's a great tradition in Europe of the bowlback mandolin, but I always felt like that the F5 mandolin had something special to bring to that music, more percussive sound. Maybe a darker.
Really? I would think the bowlback is kind of more percussive in a way. I always thought it was.
You can't really play really hard chords on those bowlbacks, like what you do.
But they have a more piercing tone to me. They're more like a harpsichord as opposed to a piano.
Exactly, it's got those highs and it really projects.
Yeah, they're pretty.
They're powerful. They're loud and they'll carry across the room.
Yeah.
But these instruments, because of the carved top, they're more. I'm not sure what it is. More of a fundamental pitch comes out, less harmonics, and certainly it was great for rhythm, as Bill Monroe demonstrated when he started using it as a.
I think they're meatier,
Right.
More mid-range,
Yeah, the analogy of the piano versus the harpsichord is really a good one. That's kind of how I saw it.
Of course, we see what happened to the harpsichord.
You have a net there. It looks like you're in a wood shop of some kind.
I know. As I said, my husband's a luthier, so we've got a lot of instruments around.
All right.
And
I thought you was in the caves.
Well, thank you for being with us. It's very cool.
Thank you.
Are you enjoying your lessons on the site?
I am, and what's been really cool is because I started just learning when I got on the site.
Oh, really?
And I would just like quiet mouse playing, and I can't tell you how much it's helped my mandolin playing. And it's almost, I don't know if you've noticed it, but the way you're teaching is also evolved on the video exchange. It just...
Really?
Yeah, it's like you honed it even more so when I... Not that anything was needing to be honed.
Okay.
What did I say?
Well, I would say that that's probably the cool thing about this way of teaching is that I can sort of zero in on a specific area that I think a student might need some work on. And it can be just a little 10-minute exchange, and the student might go away for a good time. It could be a few weeks or a few months, depending on what I'm asking them to do, to go work on that and come back to me with a few questions. But sometimes it's fundamental things. Often it's how you're holding the instrument, or pick direction is a big one. And sometimes those kind of things are pretty difficult to switch if somebody's been playing for a long time. You weren't playing for very long when you signed up, huh?
Right. I'd played guitar before, but mandolin I started January 11th, so just about 2 years.
Well, if I remember your lessons, you've come quite a long way in a short time.
With your help.
I'll just jump in here just for those people who might be tuning in and don't know exactly sort of how this works. When you are online with Mike and you're in the Mike Marshall's School of Mandolin, one of the things that's a little bit different than maybe DVDs or online videos where you're just watching the lessons is, Mike has put up a full curriculum online from beginner to advanced and beyond into different genres and things like that. So you're able to kind of go through those videos and practice, but the thing that's a little bit different is all these students can upload a video of themselves playing, and then Mike looks at that video, and that's what we're talking about. So it gives the feedback, sees what you're doing right, sees what you're doing wrong. And then those videos are then paired together and put on the site, and all the students can see them. So not only can you learn from the videos and learn directly with Mike, but you can also see the questions that other people are asking, and you can see the answers that Mike gives and the little extra lessons that Mike may give out to say, hey, your cadence there is a little bit wrong. Try this exercise. And so that's kind of how the whole thing works. I just wanted to throw that context in there for those people.
I had somebody come ask me just ran into a mandolin player the other day, and he's on the site, and I said, well, are you checking out the other people's videos? He says, can we do that? Hey, dude. That's the whole point.
Mike, I have a question. I'd like to see just a show of hands how many of the students have done the video exchange. Have all of you done it?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's done it?
These guys.
Okay. Good.
Multiple times.
Richard, coming from North Carolina, huh? Heart of bluegrass country out there.
Madison County, it's Bobby Hicks country. It's all these guys, Josh Goforth and Laura Businger, and all these folks are here. So it's a great place to live.
Right on.
Yeah, but Mike, first of all, I'd like to say thank you. I've been in the academy for a little over a year now, and I've had one epiphany after another.
Oh wow!
And I guess continuing the thought that you had started. For me, I mean, I've met some really good. I've been fortunate to meet some really good musicians over the years, but you have a unique ability in terms of teaching, the ability sort of to, I don't know, explain complex ideas so that we sort of get it.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering how, it's working great for me because, as you said, we get to see the other people's lessons. We get the one-on-one with you, and it's really fantastic. But from your perspective, how is it working, and how do you disassemble these things and be good at what you do in terms of giving us sort of the switch to flip, if you will?
Wait, are you asking like technically how do I have time for it, or are you asking something?
More in terms of your thought processes, in terms of when you see someone playing a piece, what is it that you're trying to accomplish, and how do you identify what needs to be done there?
Well, like I said earlier, a lot of it is physical. When I see somebody's body, the way they're sitting, the way they're holding an instrument, and how the music comes out, that's a big part of it for me. If I see somebody and they're kind of like doing like this, or they've got their hand in some weird position, and they're kind of holding the neck up in a funny way, I'm like, hey, dude, you got to hold the instrument properly. Get balanced. Your shoulders should be equal. I've stressed that this leg should be up. You should find a place where you're really comfortable. First.
But aren't there great musicians whose posture or just it looks weird? I mean,
well, that could be argued. Every instrument. We've seen a lot of guitar players that hold things oddly, and if you look at the mandolin world, yes, there's a variety, there's a range there, but I am of the mind that the mandolin kind of needs a bit of help in this area. Like if you go and take violin lessons from almost any town in the world, the little lady down the street can tell you, put the violin under your shoulder. Here's how you hold the bow. You know, you hold your wrist like this. You don't scrunch up. But of course, there were some old-time fiddlers that were playing like that down on their belly.
Well, I'm sure you're listening as well, so if it sounds fantastic and looks weird, you
actually have had a couple of those. I've had some kids with some very bizarre posture, but they were killing it, you know. So I tell them what my philosophy is, and then I, you know, couple that with, but you sound pretty darn good. So check out what I'm asking you to do and see if it improves things.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, yeah. You know, some people, hey, Elizabeth Cotten played upside down left-handed and left the strings, so the high string was up here. And she sounded pretty darn good, right?
Hey, Mike, did you ever have a habit as you were getting better and learning, a habit that you had that you just ran into a brick wall that you said, I got to change how I play if I'm going to take the next step?
I don't remember a very specific thing like that. All I remember is, you know, learning probably the way most folk musicians learn. It's an oral tradition. You watch somebody, you imitate them, you're imitating their physicality as much as the notes they're playing. And I remember, you know, subconsciously doing things that my heroes were doing, trying to sound like David Grisman, just trying to sound like him. So to watch him and imitate what he's doing, to be able to sit in a room with him like I have for hours, you start to get close to that. You'll never sound just like him because he's David Grisman, right? But yeah, it's been a never-ending search from this moment I started playing till now, whether it was, you know, the moment I saw Tony Rice play guitar, or Jerry Douglas, or Mark O'Connor, young kid like Chris Thiele coming up. You watch that and you say, wow, he's doing something very cool there. How's he doing that? You know, but the mandolin, being a folk instrument, there isn't a formal place where you go. You don't go to a conservatory and study this instrument. You know, if you're lucky, you live in a town where there's a great player, and you get that kind of training. But most of us are just doing it as best we can. Like David, how did you do it in New York City? And what year did you first play mandolin? 1965 or something?
No, probably around 61 or something like that.
Well, you had Ralph Rensler as
I had a neighbor. Great mandolin player, lived 5 blocks away and was a family friend, but I didn't realize that. But when I did, and he was very nurturing. And, you know, I used to hitchhike to Maryland and Pennsylvania to hear bluegrass bands because they pretty much were not around New York City at that time.
Right.
New Jersey, where I was from. And, you know, you have to be a seeker.
Yeah.
For any kind of knowledge, even if it's widespread, you have to want it. And if you want it bad enough, you'll hitchhike all night long and end up at a bluegrass show in Luray, Virginia, and get rained out.
You did that.
But if you're lucky enough, you'll end up in a restaurant, basement of a restaurant, and all the guys that were at the rained out festival, such as Bill Monroe, Frank Wakefield, Jesse McReynolds, Ira Lubin, will go up there, and you'll get a front row seat to something magical. But you have to really want it bad.
Yep. I went from Florida up to Louisville, Kentucky to see Sam Bush, 15 hours, me and our guitar player. See him in a bar. We weren't even allowed to get in because we were underage, but went backstage and begged Sam. He got us some special stamps.
I stood outside a bar outside of L.A. where the Kentucky Colonels were playing with Scotty Stoneman. They wouldn't. I was 20 years old.
Wouldn't let you in.
No, I couldn't get in. I just stood by the door all night long.
It helps to be a maniac, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that's how this music has been passed down. You watch people, but now here we are with the internet and all these really cool, using the technology now to get close to people and really see what's going on. But
yeah, and that leads into a question. Sorry to cut you off. We got a question on Twitter that we kind of passed by a little bit, but from Mandolin, as more mandolin players join ArtistWorks, how will Mike have the time to give quality input in a reasonable time frame?
Wow, that's a good one. People were asking me that the first day I signed up with the site. You know? It's very interesting. But as I said, it really is amazing. Like even today, I probably produced about 6 or 8 of them early this morning over the course of a couple of hours. You know, I can really do these little 10, 15-minute lessons, and I'm pretty good at zeroing right in on what somebody might need some help with. And hey, let's face it, I'm enjoying the fact that I don't have to stay on the road 200 days a year.
Yeah, I mean that's
like
a big boon right there. You know, just the fact.
Years.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. It's wonderful to meet this community and be a part of helping them all learn something. I've got a new baby. I'm into it. We're having a great time, and it hasn't been a problem.
Hey, Mike, I wonder if it'd be a good time to ask you to do maybe one of your solo Brazilian pieces. We talked about a couple of today.
Oh yeah.
That seem to have some really interesting right hand technique.
Well, yeah, I fell in love with Brazilian music, like I said, when I met David and heard that there was a mandolin tradition there. You know, gosh, how long ago was that? 35 years ago. And a lot of this music comes from the turn of the century, early 20th century, when you had this collision of European music and African music, just like jazz and ragtime in America. Brazil had a similar kind of thing happen. So I worked up a solo version of a tune called Odeon. I think that's the one you like. It's a piano piece, actually, but it gets played a lot by mandolin players and guitar players in Brazil. That typical samba rhythm.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta love some
Excellent.
samba, huh? Some choro. It's so unique because it's very similar to bluegrass in my mind. You have this sort of subculture of mandolin players. It's not, you know, the pop universe in Brazil, but it is a place where some of the best musicians in Brazil tend to reside. And some wonderful mandolinists down there. Big inspiration for me.
Is there anything you can kind of technique-wise from that right hand, as Scott was saying, that you could pass on to people?
Well, of course. I mean, I've got a whole series of exercises just dealing with the right hand. I call them finger busters. And you notice on that I'm doing a lot of cross-picking, we call it, where you're moving in and out of strings. One of my big things is being able to play down, up, just really down on one string, up on the other. This song has a pattern 1, 2, 3, 2. I'm sorry, 1, 3, 2, 1. 1, 3, 2, 1. So to go down, up, but you're going 1, 3, 2, 1. that's really like makes your hand weave in and out of the strings in a pretty wacky way. So you know, I have these, just doing that, you know, in a variety of string crossings. But the exercises start at the very basic, you know, they start with just open strings, things like that. And then you move to using the first string as the pivot note. And you notice the hand has to twist a little bit in order to come up and hit that G string. So it's getting people used to this fluidity in the right hand, where there's kind of a looseness, and yet you're digging into the string and getting a nice sound. So a lot of the classes or students who send me videos, sometimes I'll have them do exercises like that. There's a whole bunch of right hand exercises, things like that, just, you know, systematically playing across all the various combinations of strings. And I think it can shine a light on somebody's, if somebody's having a problem on a certain tune in a certain area, I like to say, hey, this little move in that part of the song, you need to work on that. Here's an exercise. Let's blow that up and really make it an exercise that forces you to look all over the whole instrument, playing that one thing that's hard. You know?
I saw the lesson that you put up on Odeon,
Okay.
and really lovely lesson.
Thank you.
Points up some things that I've been wondering about, meaning to ask you about too. You really concentrate on fundamentals, which I've always appreciated. I mean, it's one thing to have the desire, but you've got to be met with some kind of structure and some path to get you where you want to go. And your emphasis on, you know, I guess I'm calling them fundamentals, but they are principles that obviously guide you in your playing. So the Odeon lesson, that was about, I mean, I saw you right away. You started to play it and you said, okay, what I'm doing here, and then you were reeling off the chord names as you played. So I've always wondered if you think when you're playing in terms of the chords you're playing in at that moment and in terms of its name, or, you know, how did you teach yourself to do that?
Oh yeah, I definitely see the chords as they go by, and I play within the chord of whatever chord is happening at that moment. I'm trying to be in that tonality. And so, yes, I studied very hard that stuff, you know. I mean, I went through all 12 keys, major and minor, all the 7 chords, minor 7s, dominant 7s. And, you know, really the study of jazz is really, you have to have a complete understanding of all 12 keys, major and minor, and be able to grab them on your instrument. That's kind of a given. So once you start learning jazz music, you're going to have to do that. I mean, I suppose there were some great players who did it by ear, but I can't imagine doing that. Because, I mean, I'm just the kind of player that wants to know, okay, wait a second, I played a wrong note. Why is it a wrong note? I move it a half step and it's a right note. Fix me here. Why am I not understanding? This is C. This is C. But when I hit this note, it sounds so weird. Why does it sound weird?
But isn't jazz the idiom where, in a sense, sometimes there's no wrong notes?
Well, yeah. I mean, didn't Charlie Parker say you have to learn all that stuff?
I mean, it's just where you put them.
It's true. That is the beauty of it, that there are ways to use all of the notes.
Yeah.
But you have to know why and what for, I find.
But there were many great jazz artists like Django Reinhardt who had no intellectual understanding of theory or chords.
Well, I wonder about that. It could be that he didn't, but boy, he sure. I think
he sure knew what to play.
He knew what to play, and he must have invented his own language in his own mind somehow.
Right. But it's very sophisticated harmonically, and you would think that he would have a deep understanding of that, which he did on some way.
On some level, you know, whether he called it C sharp, or whether he called it do sharp, right?
Yeah.
In French. These are just names anyway.
We
Or
couldn't
whether
write
he
his
just
name,
called it
so I
in his
doubt,
mind one of those, and one of those, and one of these, and two of these.
You just heard it.
He heard it. He was deep inside the harmony of each chord, clearly, as the chords passed by. He wasn't just...
And deep outside the harmony, too.
Yeah. So, but I found that I had to learn it. I had to study it. So that when I open up a book and I see these A minor 7 flat 5, I can say, oh.
Well, I think knowledge is available in many places. And, I used to buy jazz textbooks.
Yeah. You probably loaned me my first 6. I stole them from you.
The Oliver Nelson book. And
exactly.
But then you have to apply. Then you're in a real life situation where you have to apply this knowledge in a different way, or you have to listen to the situation.
Exactly.
If you're with somebody like Stefan Grappelli, you have to listen to what he says about it.
Well, it's interesting, David. You're a real good example, because I've learned as much about both the intellect of music and the heart and following your instincts from you. You seem to have a really good balance of both going on in that crazy brain of yours, where you really do play from your heart and from your soul, but you also know what the chords are.
Well, you try, You don't always succeed,
But obviously, great art is a mixture of those two things, whether it's music or painting. We have a quiet guy over there, John. You're not being shy, are you?
No, I'm just listening and learning. I've got about a dozen questions.
Oh, good. Well, shoot, fire away.
Well, there are 2 that are really bubbling up to the top of my head. The first one, I guess, is because I'm brand new to Artist Works. I started, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and I come from a long history of playing guitar, a couple of years of banjo, and I've kind of over the past year taken up mandolin on my own, but I just joined Artist Works, and my experience with teachers are, you go see your teacher once a week, he gives you something to work on, and you go home and work on that, and then a week later you see him again. I've noticed using the video series and hearing back from you, but in between having so much material to work with, I feel like I'm progressing a lot faster than I did with a traditional teacher. And I was wondering if you saw that on your end, if you saw students maybe coming along a little quicker than if it was the traditional teaching, or if it...
It's interesting. I think that, people have said, oh, it's nothing like a live lesson, You got to really be in the room with the guy. I think maybe this is better than that, because I know teaching somebody, especially if he totally admires you as a player, they are so nervous when they're in the lesson that they're not actually listening to what you have to say. Or they might for that second, but as soon as they walk out the door, they forget it. Mm-hmm. And what's cool about this is you say it on tape, and that guy can watch it in a relaxed environment in their home, and they can watch it 30 times and really think about it. And that actually, I think, can go to a deeper place than I think there's something going on here that's pretty profound.
Well, and I think maybe that's what I'm seeing, because I still remember a lesson I had where we talked about Furbies for a half hour, and I still had to pay the $6 for that lesson. But
you got to first say hello, get the instrument out of the case, then you got to say goodbye, and just focusing is the key to anything you're studying, and the nerves of being around somebody you think of as your hero can just shut down giant parts of your brain.
Sure. Well, cool.
Yeah. So I think that's might be part of what we're seeing here.
Well, I definitely am. I just didn't know if it transferred over.
Oh,
Mike, I'd be curious just what everybody is studying. Like Amy, are you a bluegrass player? Are you Celtic?
Not really.
Classical?
Shoro is my favorite genre, and then classical, I guess. But I have to say, and I was thinking watching John talk, that we got to get him out to the Mandolin Symposium, because that's where it all started for so many people I know, and definitely for me. I mean, I'd picked up the mandolin and played for a little while, and then stumbled into this website about this seminar and thought, well, they won't take me, I'm not good enough. And somehow somebody talked me into just signing up, and they didn't require an audition. And after that week, I mean, my whole musical world was turned completely around and busted out. Every seam was broken. So if you want like the counterpart to the artist works experience is phenomenal. There's nothing like it I've ever seen. There's more there than I'll ever digest, and I can review it as slowly as I want. But if you want the like complimentary dump you into the vat of chocolate, it's the Mandolin Symposium. So
yeah, pretty proud of what we've created, huh, David?
Yeah, it's been a great experience. It's a lot of work, but hey, it happened for all of us. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have a lot of the things that people can access now. But the desire was there, and we sought out our teachers. And
for those of you who don't know, David and I produce this event every last week of June at UC Santa Cruz in California, and it's about 10 of the, between 6 and 10 of the best players in the world teaching, and then we get about 120 mandolin students, and it's a remarkable hang.
Sounds divine.
Oh, I think it is unquestionably probably the best mandolin event in the world. Well, I mean, what's better?
Who said that?
I'd like to think so. I'm very proud of what we've done.
We got to get you there, Scott.
Yeah,
I'm afraid to go to that. I'm afraid to go. I'm afraid.
Oh, you got it. What?
How about you, Annette? What kind of music are you into? What are you studying?
Kind of a mixed bag. I didn't really play bluegrass that much, but was learning the fiddle tunes, wanted to learn the mandolin. Played some classical through the DVDs, and then I did a workshop with Marla Fibish, and I've taken a hard left-hand turn to Irish music currently.
All right.
I mean,
pretty wonderful.
It's crazy how I'm pretty OCD about it. So
very good. How about John R?
Yeah,
we have two Johns, so we have to identify him. So John R.
Hey guys.
Thanks.
Are you talking about me?
Thanks, Scott.
The John R.
Oh.
John R. Yeah.
Oh, John Reichman's there, huh?
Yeah, John Reichman. Yeah, I wish. I'm also a mixed bag, Scott. I everything from O'Carrollin to Mike Marshall. It's fiddle tunes, some bluegrass, Celtic. Mike has seen all that. I send him videos on my problems with slides, and he helps me work through them in terms of pick patterns and that kind of thing. It's a broad interest, and I'm just loving it. I can't say enough about the Bluegrass Academy. It's a little bit of a misnomer because it's a lot more than bluegrass. Yeah. One example is just Mike last week or so posted music around a tune we all know, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and he's done it. The simple melody, the chords, but then he goes into a bluegrass style, a choro style, a swing jazz style, and then he does a Hawaiian style, and there's just so much on this site that you're not going to get a lesson. Yeah, Hawaiian. I mean, he was asking me earlier, what are you working on? He's got me playing a ukulele thing now, so it's really wonderful.
Got to have a little Oahu in your life, don't you?
How about John F.?
Yeah.
What are you studying?
I've always been straight Americana and roots music. Guitar, I'm all ragtime, early blues, holler songs, work songs, things like that. And so I'm coming into the school really wanting to buckle down on bluegrass and I'm totally open to all other types of music. I really am, but that's definitely where my focus is going right now. I want to get all of that down as much as I can before I explore anymore.
What about you, David? What are you working on?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just working on keeping the fingers moving, Apart that, just to keep up with myself requires, a lot.
Like just remembering the tunes you wrote 20 years ago?
Yeah, I just try to play as much as I can.
Well, and you're playing a lot, right? I mean, as far as I can tell, you got about 4 different things you're touring with.
Well, yeah, but I don't. Like my next gig isn't till April, really. So, but
so what
I
will
keep
you do
it
between now and then?
What
will you do between now and then?
Well, I'm working on a lot of projects. I have my acoustic oasis where I'm. Like today, I worked on. I remastered a George Barnes project. I found a session with Earl Scruggs where we did the Martha White theme, and I work on about 5 recording projects all the time.
Just digging through the archives of stuff.
The archives. And we recorded a new bluegrass project, my bluegrass band.
Cool.
In January, we did a recording of Doc Watson and Clarence Ashley material.
That's great.
Wow, beautiful.
Great.
Hey, when are we going to do Dog and Gator, man?
Whenever we can get together. Yeah, we do that.
We live in the same geographic area most.
Yeah, well, sometimes you're gone and sometimes I'm gone.
Let's put that one on the board.
Yeah, I get back next Wednesday.
All right.
And you heard it here first, guys.
Yeah. So I have a question for David. Is there another mandolin player there with you? David Grisman?
Well, I have my stepson, John R., another John R. here.
Oh, okay.
He's a pretty good mandolin player. He's been, I've been teaching him some stuff.
I thought maybe John Reichman was hiding in there somewhere.
He's not hiding right here.
Oh, he's close by. He's not too far away. So
really?
Okay.
I saw him the other night at an Andy Statman concert.
Oh man. Yeah, there's an experience. If you ever get to New York City, you got to get to Charles Street.
He was amazing. In Berkeley, actually.
Yeah. Ian, anything additional from Twitter that we could cover?
Well, I don't know about Twitter, but I would like to hear some different styles of Over the Rainbow. If we could, I want to hear Hawaiian.
That's great, Mike. Let's do it.
Yeah, I want to hear the Hawaiian.
Yeah, what were we doing? We were doing some kind of. It was like that guy Israel, the great big Hawaiian ukulele player, and he did the most simple version of it. Man, he did it in the key of C, and it was like.
Yeah.
So I just showed the folks that little strumming pattern.
That's kind of calypso.
A little bit calypso, a little bit, it's cool.
Reggae.
But what's hip is you can do it in the key of G. So, like a bluegrass tune. Works great. But really, what you really want are the original chords. Got to put my glasses on for this. Check it out. It's not G. It's C sharp minor 7 flat 5.
Yeah, right.
F sharp 7 flat 9, B minor 7, C, C sharp minor 7, F sharp 7, B minor, E7, C minor. Sweet, huh? You all know the bridge. Sing it, David. Anyway, that was a nice lesson for me, you know.
So, Mike, what are you working on recording-wise?
Recording-wise, well, this weekend we're going to record my Shoro group again, the next Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Shoro Famoso. And we've had a CD's worth of material lying around for about 2 years now. And it just took this long to gather everyone and say, let's go. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
And Katarina Lichtenberg and I have about 3/4 of a CD finished where we recorded all of the Bach two-part inventions on, she's playing the right hand of the harpsichord on mandolin, and I'm playing the left hand on this instrument, the mandocello. So we recorded all 15 of those, but we're going to add some. He has 4 duets that he wrote in his organ book. He calls them duets because it's just two separate lines, and those work great for the same instrument. So we'll record those when we're together this summer. So that's another project, and I just recorded just did a concert with an orchestra here locally, Pacific Chamber Symphony, and we did a piece that I wrote, a 3-movement concerto for mandolin and strings. It was about a 15-piece string orchestra. And also this harpsichord concerto of Bach's, which is originally in F minor, but we moved it to G minor. Well, Amy, you moved it to G minor. Amy has helped me a lot with some of my publishing. Those of you who have some of the books I've published, like the book with Katarina and I, and the Kalachi method book, Amy was the person who edited all of those, and she's remarkable at these things. So,
It was great to work with these people.
Oh, man. So thank you for all you did to correct our mistakes. Anyway. Went pretty well. Different experience working with an orchestra, that's for sure. It's a 3-headed monster, no question about it.
So I've got
Scott, what are you doing? How's Mandolin Cafe?
It's still there, I think.
Love it. Thank you for doing what you did, man. What you continue to do. It's a cool place.
Thank you.
Yes, it is.
You should be very proud.
I got a couple questions coming from the internet here from Google Plus. First of all, from Jason Anderson, quick question from the discussion about error or variations in jazz. What is your most instructional error that you recall making?
Instructional error, like telling someone the wrong chord, or what?
I don't know. I think it's getting to errors that you make as you're playing that really take you someplace or teach you something as you make those errors within jazz.
Error that instructs.
Ah, David?
Well, I was once playing in a jazz club in Brussels with Stefan Grappelli, and Toots Thielmans was in the front row.
I remember that gig.
And I got totally lost, and I was very embarrassed and thought I was, playing terribly. And European audiences are not like in the United States. They're very stately, staid. They don't, by and large, applaud for anything unless it's great. And after 2 choruses, because Stefan made me play another chorus, I just really wanted to disappear, and everybody applauded. So I figured I made so many mistakes, and they liked it. I found the right idiom.
Nice. I remember we used to play with a recording of the Johnny Carson Big Band, and in those days we used the cassette out at the soundboard.
That's right, yeah, and it came out in the wrong key one time.
The cassette player was running sharp.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we came in and they were in C sharp minor instead of.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember that. And, yeah, we made it through.
You ought to seen them boys transcribing.
Yeah.
There was some
had a lot of changes
on that night.
Boy, but the amazing thing about it was it was perfectly in the wrong key. It wasn't just halfway.
Exactly.
So that gave us half a chance.
Yeah, if it had been in between D minor and D.
Yeah.
That would have been weird.
I remember that, yeah.
So I've got one more question, and I've got a personal thing. I would love to see David play a little bit if he's got a mandolin there, and I think he does.
Oh, yeah.
And the second one is we got a shout out on the internet from someone saying, play some Beatles. You always got someone like that out there. Play some Beatles. So I don't know if you want to take both of those, David, or if you want to just do what you want.
No Beatles, but
very nice.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
I got this student, Steve. I hope he's out there. He calls himself Mr. Levy. He only sends me Beatles tunes.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's, every time he sends it. And he's got little productions on the front of each one. Sometimes it's a spaceship coming in, and then it crashes into the screen, and it's the cover of a Beatles album. And then always a little message at the end. Mike, please help me. It's pretty hilarious. Yeah, he sent me yesterday. What's cool is he'll work up a version, and then I'll have to go back to the original recording and work up my own. It's kind of kicking my butt a little bit. You know these songs, but...
What's that one we did when John Lennon died?
Yeah. I recorded the tune Because.
Because, yeah.
With all the mandolins instead of the voices. We did that night, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I think it was in Canada.
Yeah, maybe Marin Civic Center too, with the Kronos.
Yeah, you recorded that one.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That was fun because the harpsichord arpeggio part works great on mandocello.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, boom. Yeah, it's very nice.
All right. Well, I just we're kind of coming to the end here, everybody. But it's been a great hour. I've really enjoyed it. Thank everybody.
Thank you all for showing up and.
Yeah, from all the students to
Hi, Mom.
David Grisman and Scott for moderating and helping the discussion along. I got to do a little pitch here since I'm with Artist Works, but I just want to let everybody know if you're interested in learning more about things, Mike's Artist Works School, you can go to MikeMarshallMandolin.com, and there's even some free lessons up there, so you can kind of see what the video side of things are. And check it out. And another cool thing I want to say, Mike, you were talking about people, giving you Beatles tunes. That's the other side of things is whether you're into Celtic or bluegrass or Hawaiian or whatever you're into, you can always just send Mike a tune, give him a video exchange and say I'm working on this kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I made it a point early on that I was open to all styles, and it's been fun to see what people toss at me.
So I would just say thanks to everybody. Go to the Mandolin. Mike and Dave, where's the Mandolin Symposium?
The Mandolin Symposium, y'all come and see us, man. Last week of June. It's a wild event.
Yeah, this is our 10th year. And
10th anniversary.
We'll be our best.
Gonna be rocking. Got a Shoro group of girls coming up from Brazil. Who else we got there? Katerina Lichtenberg, Chris.
Adam Steffi.
Bravella, Adam Steffi.
Oh, man.
Some blues.
Donald
Sternberg. Oh, my God, doing jazz.
You got Marla for a day?
We do have Marla. And Eric Thompson.
Thompson.
Every night there's organized jams all through the campus.
Radim Zenkel will be there.
Radim Zenkel.
Don Julin going to be there? He's
going to do a whole Mandolin for Dummies track.
He wrote the Mandolin for Dummies book.
Yeah.
Well, listen, and it's in the most beautiful spot, one of the most beautiful spots in the world. So, definitely. So, what we'll leave you with is sign up for the Mandolin Symposium, join Mike's Artist Works School, definitely go by Mandolin Cafe regularly at mandolincafe.com, and whatever you do, keep playing your mandolin.
Check out David's Acoustic Oasis. You get free downloads there every day?
Yeah, every day there's a free download.
Okay.
AcousticOasis.com? Is that what we call it?
There you go.
Yeah, I just put out the deluxe edition of Quintet 80, pal. 5 alternate tracks.
Yeah, nice.
All right. Well, listen, everybody, thanks so much. Everybody out there watching and everybody here. And have a great rest of your evening and keep playing the mandolin.
Good fun. Thank you, Ian.